when we talk about parenting and being a mother, it's a whole different ball game when you have children with autism or other issues, and it's a whole new layer. So talk to us about it. What are like your challenges, and how do you handle giving them the equal lifestyle as other children? Because I'm sure it is very challenging with that.
Should I start?
Yes, please, Anima.
Yeah. All right. So this question would have sort of flummoxed me, a few years ago. So now my son is 24 years old. So, I mean, the story is very different. But 20 years ago, when he was first diagnosed with what was called PDD-NOS, that at that time, we don't use that terminology anymore, basically meaning he was in some part of the autism spectrum. It was very challenging because we didn't have a roadmap. The terminology people used, the words they used were very deficit-based. Nobody was talking about what my child could do. They were very clear about what he couldn't do, which is something we all knew anyways. So it was immediately considered as something that is not normal, something that's broken. Your child is not quite right. You need to fix your child. That was the thinking then. And to be honest, there's a lot of that thinking now as well. But there has also been a lot of change in terms of people willing to have the conversations to understand why we need to look at all of this through a strength-based framework, So that change I have seen happening slowly over time. But at that time, without a roadmap, without anyone to guide me as to what to do with a child whose needs were very different, whose brain was wired differently, I think for me, that was really difficult for both my son and myself because it was an isolating experience. I couldn't find a community. The loneliness of being saddled with, and that's how I felt at the time, saddled with a responsibility that was so much bigger than myself. Like I really didn't know what to do. How am I supposed to handle every single day? Because this is not something you can take a break from. You can't just say, you know what, I'm off on vacation. I'm not going to be a mom for a couple of days. It's not happening. I couldn't even drop by to my neighbor's house for a chat and a cup of tea because I'm always constantly worried. Okay, what is he doing? Why is it like this? And he also developed seizures, which made me, hyper vigilant. I simply couldn't sit for 10 minutes without thinking, is he okay? I have to go and check in his room. If he took too long to shower, I would be like knocking and just making sure he was okay. So that kind of stress, it's very debilitating, very difficult for a mother to handle. And the only way out of this is if you have a supportive family, if you have supportive friends, someone who says, you go ahead, take half an hour off from this extreme. Right? So, yes, the challenges were, I think, much more prevalent 20 years ago. Now I can see more moms coming out speaking about it. There are more communities. There's great work going out there. You don't feel so alone. Right now, my son works part-time 3 days a week at a cafe. So he's a barista, plus he calls himself a mocktail maker as well. Once a week, he goes to a digital studio. The digital studio is run by a neurodivergent young woman. So the possibilities now, I feel, are endless. The journey has been difficult, but now I feel there's a season of hope. Now moving forward. So I hope I answered that question.
Yes. I mean, they're wired differently, but they're equally capable. And it's just about understanding that aspect, especially for the one who don't understand with how do they come in and kind of create the support. And as you were saying, it's like way more challenging, and having that little extra support within the family makes a big difference now. But there are other issues where some families, they kind of target the mothers as if it was a mother's fault or something. They kind of penalize, especially from elders and other communities. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I had a lot of flack for a number of reasons along these lines. One is that, there's this general feeling that you're not doing something right. Something is up with the parenting style. The other thing is I started talking about his autism very early on. For a brief while, I was a columnist. I love to write. I still love to write. So I've written about the challenges, that he faced, and the kind of support that would be great if society could be supportive in those aspects, all of that. So when I wrote all of that, I had people from my own family telling me, why are you telling the world your son is autistic?
Right,
How
I
can you
hear that
talk
a
about
lot.
it?
Like you don't want to kind of, it's just as if it's something that we have to be like
You have to
scared or
hide it
share,
under the
hide
carpet.
them, and it's a shame thing, which is so wrong because
Right.
end of the day for a mother, it's a child,
Yeah. Like
and
if
for
I,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. If I deny his identity as an autistic human being,
right,
what am I doing? I mean,
right,
him being autistic is just his brain being different. There's nothing good
right,
about it. There's nothing bad about it. It's
right,
how he is. And if I don't say that he's autistic, if I try to hide that aspect of his, I'm negating him in his entirety.
right,
And as a mother, I couldn't do anything worse. So, but now the same people in my family who said those things have come around and said, though I didn't choose the path of academics for my son, it's not me. He didn't choose the path of academics. I just stood by him. Now people realize that the most important thing is for him to be happy and productive, and not for me to have sent him to school, pushed him through
yeah.
all these
The
rigid
cookie cutter,
examinations,
yeah,
and tried all of those things just to make somebody else happy, just so
true,
that I wouldn't look like a bad mom. But
true,
that was not my priority. And I think a lot of parents probably need to think very carefully to see, does my child need this? Is this what he or she, is this what they want? Or is it what I want?
that
Right?
would probably put them under more stress.
Yes, absolutely. And the mental health is negatively impacted in such a huge way. I've seen young youngsters on the autistic spectrum, other neurodivergent youngsters as well. They crumble under the pressure. So you have high anxiety, you have stress levels that are, uh, so disproportionate, and you
Mhm.
have this intense feeling of not belonging because
True,
no matter who you are, if you are neurodivergent, in general, you don't fit in. But if somebody is trying to trim you down to size, it means that you don't deserve to fit in, right? That is a message we're sending.
true, true.
So I think, all of these things have such strong impact on mental health, and we're not thinking about that. We're just thinking about, oh, what will the neighbors say? What will family say? We shouldn't really be thinking about all of that at this
Right,
stage. If we
right.
want to be supportive as parents or as neurodivergent allies, allies of neurodivergent individuals, which is also important.
True, true. No, that's really great point, and I love how you stood by your son, and that's really speaks character. And we want like more women, more mothers to kind of stand strong because it is not an easy job. It's not easy even with just a with a normal kid, and then you add other layers when you have to see emotionally really stand strong. It really matters that we have that create that support system for each other and be there for each other. And
Right.
with that, like Kreeti, would you like to add into that and also about your story?
Hi, firstly, good evening to everybody. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for spending your evening with us, and especially on a topic which is extremely close to our hearts. Thank you, Lakshmi, for giving us the opportunity, and of course, this wonderful, wonderful platform. Animadi, good evening. Thank you. It's good to see you after such a long time. So what Animadi said was absolutely correct. I mean, from starting to getting handed over the diagnosis
Mm,
and all the professionals and people around us telling us what not to do
mm,
was extremely frustrating to begin
mm,
with. And so it's kind of, as she's put, this journey is an extremely lonely journey. Even if you have people around you who have who care for you, who love you, even they become helpless after a point. They are not able to help you because they're absolutely not able to understand that what is it that they can actually bring on the table for you. And so it's a very frustrating a journey, especially with my son. My son is going to be 15 now, and he's going through a lot of troubles because he's adolescent, and he's right now, getting to know him himself. He's getting to know his the sexual awareness is extremely high, and so adolescence is kicking in. So there's a lot of changes which are happening. A lot of hormonal changes are happening. So a lot of anxiety issues have set in. Um, and when you are in situations like this, because if he was in a position to share whatever that he's going through to me, then it would have been extremely easy for me. But he's nonverbal, and he's not able to share what he's feeling, what he's going through, though he tries very hard. And we are teaching him also. We are teaching him to understand himself. We are teaching him to emotionally regulate himself. We are teaching him to be self-aware. And these things are going to take time. These things are going to take a long, long time. But still, as a mother, there are times when I feel that I'm failing as a mom. I'm not able to understand my own son. Forget about the world, forget about the judgmental world, forget about anything else. My pain lies in realizing it day in and day out that I'm not able to understand what my son wants or what my son needs. I'm the mom. And it is not that I have read a Bible or something, Bible of moms, which says, "Oh, thou shall always understand your son." No, I have not. I've not.
Nobody does, and especially teen boys. Trust me, I have a 14-year-old. I don't get it, and I'm like, "Who are you?" Like every few weeks is a different person. So we're all in the same shoe, either way.
So that hurts me a lot of times. That fuel me almost every time. I made it my motivation. I made it my goal in my life, and it is my purpose that whatever that I am feeling or whatever that I have felt, I will not let any other mom go through it. Any other mom. I'd felt lonely. I'd felt all by myself. I felt like committing suicide. I felt like killing my own son. And I'm very vocal about all this now. I had, just shut myself off from the world because I was extremely scared that the world's going to judge me, saying, "What kind of a mom are you?" But now I'm extremely vocal about all this because I know my voice has been carried on to a lot of other women. So I just want them to know that their feelings are valid. That whatever that they're feeling, whatever that they're going through, it is valid. So give heed to that. Don't ignore it. Don't start self-analyzing, because the moment you will start self-analyzing, the second step would be you will get into self-pity. So don't do it. Help is at hand. Like Animadi said that when her son was diagnosed, she was in a dire need of a friend. That's exactly what we need. We do not want somebody to come over and give me gyan. No, sorry, my son, I'll take care of him. Let me handle that battle. But I need a friend.
True.
I want to be
How
with
do you handle that?
What she said, she could not even go to the neighbor's house just to chat up with the neighbor. It is such a rejuvenating activity when you meet your neighbor, maybe downstairs, maybe near the elevator, maybe just hi, hello, and that 5-minute conversation that rejuvenates you. We are not even able to do that. I don't want anyone to be in that situation anymore.
Do you find like other mothers discriminating with their children, kind of mixing with, say, your children? Like, do you see that happening quite a bit, or
they can't help it? They can't help it. It is not that a mom would want to discriminate her child from the rest of the world, but they just can't help it because the kind of society they are facing day in and day out. They are bound to do it. I keep saying this to people that COVID taught you something called social isolation. So come and ask us autistic moms what social isolation is. We've been practicing it for years now.
True.
We don't go to our own brothers' weddings. Our children are not getting invited to any birthday parties.
Really? That is unfair.
There are no play dates happening for our kids. There's nobody inviting our kids to their places. Who are inviting them? Now that people have started to, wake up. So there are a handful of neighbors who will stop by to meet my son. They'll stop by to say hello to him. They'll stop by to meet. But this was not there earlier.
True.
We got here. We are we are
Because of
still treading that
champions
path.
like you. Yeah.
We are still treading that path. We are yet to cover a lot of distance, but at least we got here. But at
True.
least we are here. So
Yeah.
it is not that the mother would want to discriminate or alienate her child from the society or from other people.
But not from you. I feel like it's from the other parents. I feel like, say, if you're in a park and say your child's playing and then their child is playing, you kind of see them kind of being okay with it, coming over to talk to you, or allowing the children to kind of talk to each other. Do you find there is a bit of discrimination there?
For that, I need to cite a little incident because I will not be able to support whatever that I'm going to say without the incident. It is for better understanding. So once what happened, my son, he loves to play in the park. He loves the swings. And he was all of 8 years old or something. So there's a bunch of moms who were already playing with their children. And they just stopped their children to come and meet my son in the park. And said, please don't go near him. He's mad.
Oh my
They
God.
use the Hindi word.
Oh my God, that is so wrong.
For all the people out there, the right sentence they use is, "Arey uske paas mat jao, wo to pagal hai." And I was standing right
An
there.
adult said this.
So I was standing right there. I never created a drama or a scene at that point of time. I said, no, there are a lot of people here. And I was boiling with rage. And I belong to Delhi, and Delhi girls are not famous for their anger and their rage. So I just stopped myself. I said, you know what, Kreeti, let's not do it right now. We'll find an opportunity. So by the time we went back home, I was in a very, very bad mood, and I could not control myself because I knew where these ladies live. I just went to their building and I just banged on their doors. And the moment they opened their doors, I couldn't even wait for them to invite me in. My first questions were, do you know my son? Do you know what he has? And my third thing was, how dare you call him mad? I said, first go and educate yourself what he has. What are his challenges? What is he actually fighting with? And then you start naming whatever.
What if it was their children?
So,
right?
So after that, you know what happened? I printed one letter in my residential complex. I put my son's picture in it. I wrote my address, his name, and I said, "This is Arnav. He's this many years old. We live on this address. I have a condition called this. What all you can expect to see?" I wrote those 5 points. What all is you are not supposed to do? I wrote those 5 points. And the last in bold, I wrote what we will actually welcome for you to do. So and I distributed that letter to 550 households in my residential complex.
That's amazing.
And then after that, of course, the perspectives changed. People come by, people made friends with my son. But so this is what happens. You said discriminate. People are just not aware, Lakshmi. They're not aware. They're not aware because they're conditioning.
Yeah.
They're conditioning. That's how they've seen the world. That's how they've seen the society, and that's how that they have been fed all along. If you see anything which is out of ordinary, even a brilliant person is called, "Arey, wo to pagal hai." Person who's
people
awesome.
are very judgmental.
Yeah. You cannot help yourself. You cannot help yourself to be a part of this kind of a scheme of things. But then you can always bring a little chaos to the madness.
True.
I mean, a little piece to the chaos. A little. That's the autistic in me talking.
I'm just talking to moms. I mean, I'm such awe of you both. It's incredible to see how you're championing, standing by your children and standing by so strong, and for yourself and for them. So it's beautiful. And what you did was amazing. I think every mom should do that. Sometimes it's just about like kind of going and putting them in front of their faces and not taking it in, because I feel like there's some who would really get depressed about it and probably not take the kid out. And you just absolutely did the right thing and to just go in there. And I would probably do the same.
No, so the Delhi blood has to boil. So I have to barge in the house, you know.
Not
I just
just the belly, I feel like it's the right thing to
drop
do.
the door down. I did all that. But then again, you know, the calm and everything came in. I said, you know, do you know my son? You know what he has?
Right.
So,
True.
I think there's a general approach, like anything that is different is viewed with fear. You're not like, you know, that's the first instinct. You're afraid of anything that's different, and your brain is wanting you to keep away. It's an old survival instinct that kicks in. So that's how all of our implicit biases come out. Like it's for protection, but we should have evolved, you know, away from all of that and moved into understanding and compassion and empathy. Those are the higher order emotions we should be experiencing instead of, you know, fear and being judgmental and being isolating people. I've always said that it was not my son's autism that caused the challenges for him. It's people's attitude towards his autism or society's inability to understand that with the right environment, every individual will flourish. We keep saying that, but we don't really implement that. If our society was more accessible and inclusive, like in a universal manner, how much better would things be? And how much lighter would be the burden on the autistic individuals, on the neurodivergent individuals and their families if there were these kind of environments in public spaces, in schools, in workplaces, everywhere, right?
Everywhere. I mean, that's one of the areas we're trying to champion, because we feel like it's a collective effort.
It is, yeah.
You know, and when you're trying to really go down to the grassroots level, it's not going to happen overnight. It's like simple things like that, like what Kreeti did, like what we are doing, you know, what you're doing, just a little bit of that push in the right direction. And over time, she will start seeing the shift. And, you know, with that, like with schools, what kind of facilities does government provide? Like, are schools inclusive? Because I live in the US and I see that they have children that's very inclusive, but I don't see that side here. So what is the scene with that?
Schools here in general aren't inclusive. There are a few schools, possibly, let's say in big cities like Bangalore, where you might find some inclusive schools, but I wouldn't even call them completely inclusive, because the foundation for learning in the classroom, you should be using, you know, all of these universal design for learning principles so that everyone sits in the same class. And even learners who learn in different ways are catered to within the same classroom. That is inclusion for me, but that's not inclusion as it's practiced as much that I see in Bangalore. I'm willing to bet that in any city in India, it's not really, you know, true inclusion that's happening. And the government support also varies from state to state. I know the Kerala government does quite a bit of support, but the Karnataka government doesn't seem to be doing anything at all. So it depends from state to state, but in general, though, you know, in theory, we have disability commissioners, we have this, we have access to insurance, all of that. In actual life, it's very difficult. It's extremely difficult to get a disability certificate. Now, autism is one of the 21 disabilities that are recognized by the Indian government, but ADHD is not. You would not get a disability certificate for ADHD. So if you have a disability certificate, then you can access certain things, like you can maybe get extra time on your exams, or, you know, or when you're going to travel on the train or in the airport, you might get certain concessions. You don't have to stand in the queue and so on. But to get the disability certificate, you have to literally go through hell. I don't have one for my son. It's so tough to get it. So it doesn't matter that these things are there. To access all of these things is still very difficult. So if you ask me, the government support is minimal.
True. I feel like with everything that they do, it's more to kind of show on the paper versus really doing it. And same thing with the corporate. I see the corporates are trying to be more inclusive.
But it's the thing is, there is a general lack of awareness, right? And then when you go, like I was working with this big company, they had a huge number of employees scattered all over, and we would do these virtual awareness sessions. Like in a couple of my trainings, there were more than 1,200 people in each training. Okay, so you can imagine the size. And after doing, let's say, 25 of these trainings, still when I spoke to a manager about a particular neurodivergent intern who was under them, again, the language used was so derogatory. There was no understanding. So if you don't root out implicit biases, if you don't build an inclusive culture, and that directive has to come from the top, it has to be pervasive. Every single person needs to know about neurodiversity, needs to understand about neurodiversity, from the security person at the gate to your top management. Everybody needs to know about it. Unless you are aware of it and you understand the importance of accepting the truth of neurodiversity and working with all of this, if the strategic buy-in is not there from the leadership, the culture is not built. Without the inclusive culture, how are you supposed to implement anything? I could shout till the cows come home, from the rooftops. It wouldn't make a difference unless it's built into the culture. Let's say we have parents of neurodivergent children who are employees over there. They would understand the need to be more inclusive automatically because now it's built into them.
But I feel like, to make the change, we need to go like from the root. And that's why I know when you're training mothers, obviously the children now are already aware that this is.
I think what we really require is a very easy to understand sensitization programs all across the board.
Yeah.
And what actually pains to see is the entire world starts to jump up and down whenever we have an autism awareness day, whenever we have a Down syndrome day. And then after that, everything fizzles down.
It's bye-bye. Yeah, that's it.
Everything fizzles down. So
it's
this should
tokenism, right?
Exactly. This should be a recurring kind of a thing. I mean, every something like this is happening probably every month or something. We all are connected to corporates. We all know somebody or the other who are doing CSR activities. We can always get in touch, or I keep asking people, please come and help us. We are ready to run. Like we have Bangalore, we have somebody awesome like Anima. She's sitting there. If there are a couple of companies in Bangalore, they would want to have a conversation, she would be happy to run and go and do it.
I didn't know Anima was in.
She would do it. Yes, she would do it. I will take care of NCR. I will happily run and do awareness session, conversations, heart to heart. We are ready to do all that.
Right.
We are not given opportunities.
But trust me, the battle is an uphill battle. Whether it's about bringing awareness here or about bringing awareness with helping moms getting back to work, it's always uphill battle. And because we're not where people choose to do the easiest thing first, and anything hard, it's always kind of like less priority.
Like what I said, Lakshmi, the thing that I did, I have to manually write a letter and share it with everybody, right? Why do I have to do anything like that? I have 550 neighbors, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't any single neighbor tried to find out who I am? So everything starts from your own home, your neighborhood. We can take out a huge morcha with flags and candles in our hand. Inclusion, acceptance. But do you have an understanding in your immediate neighborhood? Does your immediate neighbor knows about you? Your son?
I
always request people, we all stay in residential complexes now. We all stay in apartments. And these apartments have, common elevators. You keep bumping onto each other. Just keep an eye. Just see who the families are around you. Who is it that you have only heard names of and you have never seen their faces? It wouldn't take much, and you have your WhatsApp groups running now, the residential complex WhatsApp groups running now on your phone. Just keep an eye who's silent, who's not talking much, who's absolutely, absent, but that person is still there. It doesn't take much to begin, it doesn't take much to begin.
It's just that one step in the right direction. And what really shocked me about your story was that it was an adult and she was a mother. And that kind of go like, how? What if it was her own son? Like, how would she have reacted, right? But that's the thing, ignorance in this world is just crazy. And that's why I feel like empowering mothers in right direction, thinking about their role, and because kids are watching,
Yeah.
just her actions set off a totally
Correct.
wrong example for a child, because then eventually that child's going to grow up and say the exact same thing to somebody else. So it's
Absolutely.
like,
So this is something that I'm very passionate about. I'm an educator and I work with children. So today I was talking about endangered species, like endangered sane parents. Endangered species is a thing as well. And one of the students asked me a question. Then I said, in a room of 100 people, you probably have 50 people listening to you, and probably half of them are going to listen and forget, right? And maybe a few of them will go out and think about what they've just heard and make some changes. Maybe they'll come across something made of ivory and they'll say, I'm not going to buy it, because if I buy it, another elephant is going to get killed, right? And this mother, just imagine, I'm thinking about this mother, maybe did not have any connection with anybody on the spectrum, number one, or maybe she did have an opportunity, and somebody used the word MADs, just like she did. And it is not just about children, but it's about educating grown-ups, right? And I see children, even the children not on spectrum, struggling. They're struggling to find, without being on the spectrum, children are struggling. Social media and being disconnected, families being disconnected. We used to have families that supported our children, like communities. That has completely dissipated. And in an environment like this, a child, even not on the spectrum, is struggling, right? Like Dr. Shafali said, she's shy, she's an introvert. And every time I hear that, I have the exact same thing to say. So I was talking to a mother yesterday, and this is exactly what she told me. She said, my child is very shy. She does not talk. Can you please get her to talk? Can you please get her to be involved? And this is what I said. She's doing a very good job. She's an introvert, and that's a good thing for her. The thing is, it is an issue when it starts crippling the child. So the child, that particular child in question, when she needs help, she comes up to me, she'll ask for it. When she doesn't want to do something, she has a mind of her own. She says, I do not want to do it. She's listening to everything. She's absorbing everything. She's understanding everything. And she is having a good, comfortable time in the environment. But this mother doesn't think that that's good enough. So I told her, if you tell the child that she needs to talk, she's going to think less of herself. She's going to think that she's deficient in something. And instead of doing well, like she is now, she's going to go 10 steps behind.
Yeah.
Yes. And then another mother says, my husband comes home and he says, why doesn't she talk like the others? Right? Comparison, as someone said, is a thief of joy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The moment we start comparing ourselves, we are completely taking away the joy of living. And if you're comparing your children to others, just imagine the damage that you're doing. It is 10 times more, right? They're still growing. They haven't figured themselves out, right? And so I told her, first of all, when your husband comes back, does he even know what the child is doing for the rest of the day? No, right? And so I told her, forget answering for your husband, and first of all, put your child's care as your first priority, and everything else is going to be fine. So what I'm going to say is we need to educate grown-ups. And no matter what we do, until the policymakers make policies, not a big impact is going to take place. Because the policymakers, now I do see changes. I go to shopping malls and we have nursing rooms. Growing up in India, I never saw that.
That's true.
Right? Things are changing, but we need to get with the policymakers. We have to collaborate with the policymakers. Whether we like the government or not, we have to work with them. Because if you want to see a big and real change, we have to work with the policymakers. And that's that. There is no easy way. And you mothers are doing such a fabulous job. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. I think it really helps if everyone understands that there is no one standard brain. There is no thing called normal. and there is nothing called typical. Like everybody is different. It's like your fingerprint or having snowflakes, and there's nothing wrong with being different. The underlying need for everyone to fit into one societally defined norm is what's causing all of these problems. Why should we all be alike when we are doing so well being different? Right? It's our differences that have gotten us to evolve so far, right? I mean, you wouldn't want an Einstein to be like an everyday man. How do you get all the innovators and the thinkers and the creators? Only because you're thinking very much out of the box. You throw the box, you're not even anywhere close to the box, right? It's differences, diversity in cognition is what fuels our evolution. It fuels our success as a human race. And taking that away, making everyone just the same as everyone else. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster.
During that, like Einstein couldn't tie his shoelace, and but he's he. So just intelligence comes in different forms, and every form is important. And nobody should be judging that this is exactly the way it's supposed to be. And it starts with mothers recognizing that, whether it's for their own children or for others, and to be respectful and inclusive of everybody, and just being there for each other more than anything. Because you don't know what somebody else is going through, whether it's with the child, or whether it's finance, whether it's the spouse, whether it's the baggage they might be carrying. Everyone will just plaster a fake smile and walk around, and putting fancy pictures on social media. But the reality is very different, and that's why connection and communication and community plays such a critical role. And with what we do and the efforts we put in, it's purely for that reason. It's like let's get talking, because I feel like when we get talking, a lot of important things comes out, and we just somehow, that little light bulb goes off in our head. And sometimes even we might know, but it just kind of puts everything in the forefront. And that is our effort. Neha wants to share something. Go ahead, Neha. Neha, you can unmute. Jasmeet, can you unmute her, please? Okay, meanwhile, Pratiksha, you can say something.
Hi, Anima. Hi, Kreeti. Firstly, thank you so much. My full bow salute to both of you for everything you've done so far. Thank you so much. I just want to say I agree with what Anima said when she said that, yes, in terms of inclusivity, in terms of the school, I totally agree with that. But I just want to say that this is from my personal experience. Now, my daughter goes to a convent where they have an opportunity school in the same campus premises. Okay. Right. So they do all the Independence Day cultural programs and all with all the kids together. When I did ask the principal that why the kids are separate only in terms of classroom learning, she said, darling, we are just trying to give them all the time, and we're trying to put in extra efforts for their lessons and everything there. Whereas we have such a tough syllabus like ICSE, which we need to keep buckling up with the other kids and have a limit on time with that. So that was one thing and this was started in 1972 by the same organization. The school was established in 1949, but this opportunity thing started in 1972. Now, what was my personal heart takeaway from that is my kid goes in a bus with all these kids included, and they go and come back together. Now, my kid is just 5. Now, she wouldn't know all these technical terms yet, but her first question when one day she came and asked me, Mama, there's this girl called Rhea. She keeps coming to hug me and sit on my lap. Now, I didn't know who this kid was, but until I saw, because they have a different uniform color, we know that they're from that school, and it's been consciously done so that the parents and teachers would instantly know. It's not like in terms of differentiation, but the primary school, middle school, high school, and the school has different collars just to identify so that they know which kid belongs to which block. So the moment I saw the collar, I just told her, look, Kavisha, you know what? If she hugs you, just hug her back. She loved that, just laugh and play 10 times more. She would love that. So the best part, I've seen that now when I see these kids performing by my kids' side in the sports day, the last drill they did, every single thing, that is actually giving us more empathy and naturally, and we're just able to put them in the environment where later on I see the high school girls, they don't have too many questions on this now because they have been in this environment from a very tender young age. I know India has has a long way to go, but I'm just sharing that still in some places, some people are trying to pull that ray of light and hope so that the kids don't keep asking all these questions and be confused about it later on. So I'm proud to say that my kid has friends even from that particular, sorry, I meant to say she has kids, even friends who are even from that particular block, and she has nothing but great things to tell about them, including when it was her birthday, the way they all sang happy birthday to her in the van, and she was so excited to ensure that, she hugs each and every one of them. These kids hug the parents unknowingly also when we are walking in the campus, but we're all used to it now. We know that. We are no one to ask them why. They're like, you want another hug? We are there for you. So this is just my experience as to, I'm just, telling that there are some people who are still trying to make a difference there. I wish it was there way years ago, but like I say, sometimes maybe the time was not matching, but at least the time is coming. Yeah,
it's coming. Sure, that's a great story.
Thank you for that.
Neha and Vidya. Neha, would you like to go? You can unmute. Jasmine, can you unmute her?
A very good evening to all.
Okay, good.
I just want to share that the things that actually happened to me. I just want to share some moments that make me, totally broken up, right, and totally give up. So I want all the mothers, please have your me time with you. Have yourself, if you are strong enough, then you can share your great thoughts, your positive vibes with your child. I think that's the main key when you are having a special child. No, you have to, first of all, you have to be in yourself. You have to be strong, and you will be strong when you are having a positive vibes, positive thoughts. So I work on myself, and I make myself, more positive, more enthusiastic, and then I work positively on my child. And many positive things happen after that when I work upon myself. So I think that's the most important thing that every mother should recognize here. That your child is different, but that's the different with a specific need which he wants. And if you are not still, if you are disturbed, if you are not having correct environment, if you are not having that correct diet, then you can't help the child. I think that.
Thank you, Neha. You've been choppy, but we kind of heard like few of the points that take care of yourself before we take care of others, and self-care is so important, and that is always a great reminder. And we need that reminder every single day. Thank you so much. And Vidya, would you like to share something quickly?
Hi, I'm actually a psychiatrist. So kudos to both Kreeti and Anima for such a beautiful journey. I just have few challenges, right? So sometimes what happens when mothers come in and they need proper resources and guidance with respect to therapy or school, and I lack the resources. So it's very difficult to kind of, have those resources in hand. So if there is any guidance that you people have gone through the journey, and I'm sure you've come across a lot of spaces where it's all inclusive, or you have right therapists, you have right guidance for them. So if there are such resources, it will really help, especially I lack that kind of resources. So is there any access to any such things that?
Vidya, quickly, let me just take that question. Let me just answer and help you. That's why we have this platform called the Special Mom. I would request Jasmeet and everybody, they'll share the links with you. So we are there on Facebook, we are there on Insta, and we have 32 active WhatsApp groups running. It's a huge community, WhatsApp community that we have. And we've actually created it as a entire ecosystem now. From the time your child is getting diagnosed till the time you're saying bye-bye to the world. So we are catering to everything, every age group. So I would request Jasmeet if she can share the links with you. It'll be easier. You can always forward them to our group. Anima is also part of that group, so she's there. So she's also around, and
Definitely.
parents, amazing parents like her are there, and so they're always ready to help. So all of these amazing moms and parents are there in that group.
Mompower360, an empowering community for moms just like you and me.